So right now, through His Majesty, we are agitating under that banner to them set up certain principle of human rights where certain article was to be upheld by our government, you know. So under those, you know, article we are agitating for such right, you know, of the poor and the have not, you know, and the freedom of the slave children that, you know, is exiled abroad through slavery, you know. And we would allow reach the legal the thing, the Geneva Convention, you know, the International Court of Law, you know, with the case. So that I will say we need some good lawyer, you know, to step to the International Court under the international principle of human rights, you know, which is being violated by our government. So we live in the United Nations, so we're calling them to justice by living it, you know, and we know them violate, them not living it, you know. But even the first article say all human beings born free and equal, you know, so them not living it, you know. So we're calling upon them through international law of justice, you know. But through them all them little thing and some circle game and some governmental thing, you know. Them a pitch board and I said go check those people over there and check those offices over there, you know. Because I carry in a circle, you know. But you just must have time I go tell, you know. So we just go and work with you until, you know, they're ready, you know.
Harry, my lord, give thanks. I just taking you in, you know. Yeah. I was to ask you, in a sense, you kind of answer what I was going to ask, you know, but I'm going to still put it out still. Because, okay, let me ask you before I even go. So when the father speak of us dropping that banner and rising it, was there a time frame given or a reason given? Like, okay, for example, maybe I should just still get back to what I'm saying. So even Haile Selassie I, from 1923-24, advocating and eventually Ethiopia into the League of Nations, you know what I mean, Guinness Book of World Record business, you know, African country amongst the European wolves, and Article 16, you know, collective security. That's what it is now, collective security for surety was dashed aside. And we all see what happened to the United Nations. Now,
yeah.
I wouldn't encourage
League of
Nations, pardon me, true. I would not give thanks for the correction there. I would not encourage no one to hold their breath, waiting on the United Nations for any true justice, even internationally. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, because everything happened for a reason. Diplomacy is for a reason. This chess you're dealing with to a degree as well, you know. So I come into there now. So sometimes, you know, even before you react, you put things on paper and you write to the authority. And if the authority not doing nothing, you write to the higher authority until you reach to the top. And if nobody taking up your plight, and you defend yourself and take the law into your own hand, even though they may say you're wrong. I mean, even on a civil matter or a domestic matter, even if they say you're wrong, you have proof to say, listen, man, I wrote the commissioner, nobody come. I wrote the prime minister, nobody come. I wrote the governor general, nobody come. I explained myself, I do a video, I send a CD, nobody come. Now I handle the business, y'all want to come arrest me. Is that right? You have a very good case, eh? Trust me. So I understand the diplomacy of it, because reality, that's what it's all about. But what I'm saying, my lord, as ones and ones within this other framework, you know, because I don't hear one's reason too heavy on it. Is there a time frame given? How long will we wait until for the United Nations to act? Is it a specific judgment that have to come on the earth where we see their demise and a gateway is open? or we just have to act on ourselves? Because acting on ourselves, to me, seem like, because I mean, we have 7 banners. And
well, that was the 1992 program that I said mission in Africa, you know. That was the movement. That's how the program was started, you know. We should have moved, you know. It's right there, and then every man should have put a dollar there towards the program for him. Say, well, I'll build a housing scheme in Africa, you know. Just like how Marcus said, put a dollar towards the Black Star Liner. If we start and put focus on, say, well, we are putting a dollar towards the work, you know, within building a housing scheme, building factories and things. Well, they are far, but we just there and we just gears, you see, pound word sound and no action behind the movement, you see. Most of the action are towards, you know, the west, you don't see. We never put no movements to the east, like how that puts the mission to the east, you see. So until we recognize ourselves and know and start to say, well, we have a part to do with this mission, we're going to have problems here.
Rastafari. True, my Lord. Well, anyway, I would not prolong that reasoning there with the banner, but I know I don't put it out too, and it's something for man consider, you know. Very key. Because as the father is a progress.
That banner have to wait for fly, you know. So
okay, let me just show you. Sorry, just quickly. Why, okay. There I know King Emmanuel and sit and sup with the man. King Emmanuel come to me like a man that by now, he did just rise up already and say, my lord, just drop that banner there, my lord, and let's rise our thing. And yeah, that's the impression I get from that kind of man there. I mean, you could just tell me, you know what I mean, not waiting and let's see if, you know, just from how you explained him to me, how a priest Chris explained him to me, how a priest Earl would speak to me about him, and all the others. This is the impression I get of that man there, that sometimes he just get up and say, my lord, just drop that judgment there.
Yeah, man. And that him say, you know, when you find the R, man, you just drop X immediately. You just drop it immediately and walk with the R. And nobody look back on the X again, you know, see it. You don't find the R, man. So you're on the R, man, I walk now, you know, watch the X, man, again.
True,
you
man.
See it. So at the movement there, we want to build our self-confidence that we want to build in ourselves, you know, to carry the R, man, you know, to carry the R victory with we anywhere we go.
True,
you know,
man.
see it. But we find short in more time, you see it. We waste enough time in some little thing where the big movements come like we don't even recognize or see it yet, you know.
Yeah, man, so I vision in one of those, like the flag ceremony you're talking about with the Jamaican thing there. I vision in one of those there and that thing coming down and we just playing top so that day, brother. So
no, but you say anywhere we stand, you know, we must have that banner there, you know. We must have that. If we fly the next one, you know, we supposed to have our one higher than that one there, you know. That one is supposed to 3/4 mast.
Okay. Right. Well, you see, you're teaching I too, eh? You see, that's what it is. You know what I mean? You're showing I the way said way. The elders know the way still, you know. Yeah. So you're saying it's not supposed to ever totally come down.
No. Until we reach home now, we're done. We're done. We just fly when we fly left for them one time. We are ruling now. We are governor putting the kingdom.
My Lord.
So for them United Nation, we have to come stand up to our Black United Nation. It's just like Moses with the rod, you know, for them rod, you know, and Moses swallow up for them rod, you know. Them just a paper, man. Everything them just write on paper, but you know, them don't live where them write. But I is art, you know, we live, you know, and can say our liberty is our word sound. You know? For them word sound, I just pen and paper. It carry a 7 or 8 different meaning.
You don't know. I like how you say that. True, well, give thanks, give thanks. So let me ask the king. I never interview no one and ask them this thing, especially if they say they know King Emmanuel. So you burned chalice with King Emmanuel before. Blessed love family, give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life. Just preparing ourselves for the showing premiere YouTube version, Apedemek. Give thanks. Hail the Honorable Priest Tafa. Don't touch base, Honorable guy.
giving thanks. Of course, saying blessed love once again to each and every one. All those who are with us, we're just keeping the joy right here in the nest. And of course, preparing for a wonderful, wonderful evening's presentation. Oh, blessed love, royal family, give thanks for the life giver and the keeper of life, Emperor Haile Selassie first. And of course, give thanks for all those who have been sitting with us for the past few moments. And really, we are just here preparing ourselves for within the next 50 minutes or so. We will have the official premiere of our fourth, I repeat, this will be our fourth full-length video documentary entitled Apedemek, the Conquering Lion Hath Prevailed. And of course, this will be the second official premiere, as we did one on Patreon's Day, and that is approximately 2 strongs and a few days ago. But this is the premiere on social media, and specifically YouTube, and ones would be seeing it through the Facebook as well. So I am just definitely elated here, very much so excited, and just happy to inform you that those of you who did not see the Apedemek on that evening, the 3rd, well, I hope that you are prepared to full joy just about an hour plus of proper information coming to you. Now, let me say that Apedemek has been designed really for several things. And one of the main things that really jumps out at you, at least within, before you reach to half of the video, is the whole aspect of Haile Selassie, the Ethiopian monarchy, and Ethiopians in general, the tenacity that they would naturally have in defending their sovereignty, And in reality, Haile Selassie also stands out in relation to the character that the documentary is named after, Apedemek. Apedemek is very unique in that Apedemek comes from the ancient world. Apedemek is the lion head god. And Apedemek is unique that he is related to the kingdom of Kush. Now, this is very important. You would notice that in some new translations of the Bible, where you would see the word Ethiopia, you would now see the word Kush. So, and it's usually CUSH too. In our history, you would notice that we usually spell Kush with the K. So, for example, the book of Genesis chapter 2, verse 13, when it says that this river encompasses the whole land of Ethiopia. If you check it now, it will tell you that this river, which is the Gion, Genesis 2, 13 verse, encompass the whole land of Kush. Can the Ethiopian change his skin? The leopard is spot. You see in some versions now it has kind of Cushite change his skin. And other places, Artaxerxes, he ruled from Ethiopia to India. In certain versions, this is Esther chapter 1, verse 1, he ruled from Kush to India. So it's almost like one of them double-edged swords there, you know, meaning that there's nothing really wrong with that, because you are speaking of ancient Kush. But at the same time, what it does is that if you notice, those of us, especially as Rastafari, when we saw that Ethiopia, something we could relate to, was in the Bible, and then not only realizing that it's in the Bible, it almost, Ethiopia and Egypt as names almost appear more time than any other place in the Bible. Then now, even more than Jerusalem, that's it. Then now, you realize that this Ethiopia thing is quite important. The origin of civilization, I said Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2, verse 13, before the Bible gets into Adam and Eve properly, it already talking about this ancient empire of Ethiopia, a place with a name, where the river encompasses it, and a lot of gold is there, and minerals are there, and such is there, and history and anthropology and other things have come to prove that to us, the oldest civilization on the planet. And when we're speaking of Ethiopia in this context now, we're not just speaking of Abyssinia as such. We have to expand this now to a lot of Northeast Africa as well. So the point is now that we as Rastafari, we realize that, wow, Ethiopia, and of course directly connected to Haile Selassie. So what happens that when you change now the name Ethiopia and put in Kush, it can divert certain ones, you know, from the key point that they may be trying to get, albeit it may not be wrong, because that is the ancient Kushite empire from Nubia, Sudan, coming down to the area of Aksum. Some would argue going all the way, Kushite I talking about, going all the way to Arabia and even passing southern Ethiopia. But the point is that we know when you say Ethiopia, there's no argument. You know where Ethiopia is. You could just look on the map and say, oh, look there. That's why many people say that the Guyana is the Blue Nile, of which we know the Blue Nile literally flows out of Ethiopia itself, Lake Tana, and joins the White Nile in Khartoum, in Sudan, and goes northwards, passing through ancient Kemet, called Egypt today, and of course going out into the Mediterranean Sea. The river that aligns itself with the Milky Way, the same Milky Way that the dung beetle, the scarab, the kepra actually follows the Milky Way's pattern as it rolls the dung ball across the desert. High science. So the River Nile, the part of the dung beetle, the Milky Way, everything and well aligned. And even down to the Caribbean island chain when we put in Heliopolis and of course ancient and modern. I know. So everything is one. That's what God is about, oneness of existence. You know, that's why these are the things that Freemasons try to unravel, how everything is just connected. The seashell and the seashell and the spiral of the hurricane and the spiral of the galaxy and the Fibonacci numbers and even the first three numbers in the creational number of 3 that align perfectly to the same pyramids and pi and epsilon and the unitary number 1, you know, which the square root of 1 itself. So all of that, science, oneness, and you could still historically just link that back to the original area where not only civilization, you know, but humanity in general, creation. Because where humans were first sighted doesn't necessarily mean that's where civilization began. But it just so happened that, yeah, because civilization, when you are civilized, it don't just mean that you have table manners at dinner time. Civilized means that you have a script, you know, you have a language, mathematics, a system of governance. These things is what, you know, say that you're civilized, not just because you can talk it, not even because you have a language, but a script. You know, so civilization is a very deep topic within itself. So, but it's just so happens where humanity is first sighted is where civilization is first sighted again, and that is along the banks of the River Nile. And the thing is, family, don't make them disconnect you from the Nile Valley civilization, or don't let them make you disconnect the Nile Valley civilization. Not because you have Egypt today and South and North Sudan, or however it go today. Just a couple of years ago, it was just Sudan. Now it's North Sudan or Sudan and South Sudan, or North Sudan and Sudan. One of the two. One is North and the other one is South, but one of them don't carry the direction. One of them is still Sudan and the other one, I think it's South Sudan and Sudan. Something of the sorts, like that. But that happened just the other day. I can remember watching the news when that took place. So right in front of your eyes, those of you who are older than maybe 10 years old, you know what I mean? You were right there when Sudan was cracked into like a crackers. So now it's two places. But the point I'm making, just a few years ago, it was one place. So just a few centuries ago, a lot of what is 3 and 4 used to be one. And you could say the same thing for Africa in general. So the point I'm making is Smaitawi. That's the unification of the lands. Baba Heru speaks of it a lot. From where the River Nile starts to where the River Nile done. Colonialism, don't make the colonial mind make you see it separate. Yes, as a historian, as a scholar, as a researcher, I mean, we're not romantic about this thing, we're realistic. So we can understand where the divide is. We just explained Sudan was cracked into. That's geopolitics. And now it's 2 different nations, 2 different flags. We understand, you know, but at the same time, we comprehend when that happened, why it happened, and we can go back and back and back in the past, like the Sankova going forward, but looking back and understand that there was a time when the same Sudan and known Ethiopia was one too. Isn't Ethiopia separate from Eritrea today? But they were one. Where is Aksum? Do you know some of Aksum in Eritrea and some of Aksum is in Ethiopia, at least the ancient empire of Aksum? And then again, that's another thing, because the ancient empire of Aksum is bigger than Aksum today. So even when you read history, especially when you read in Bible and see the names of places, it's not the simplest thing just to look on a map and say, oh, look at there. Sudan. Sudan is the land of the blacks. In fact, Sudan is one of the names for Africa, you know. More from an Islamic stand, but Al-Sudan, that's Africa. The place they call Sudan just happened to end up with the name, but the Sudan at the time was a bigger place. So the River Nile Valley, the Nile Valley civilization is one thing. I know some of us, again, who may have read a few books and listened to a few lectures, we'll be quick to jump up and say, no, but remember in the time of King Nama, 3,000 years BC, you know, the stuff we all know. You know, Kemet was a different civilization. Even the kings of Nubia used to this and that. We understand, but that's just history. That's just 5,000 years ago. That's just 5,000 years ago. What was going on 10,000 years ago? You must remember, 10,000 years ago is just as far away from 5,000 years ago as you now today is from 5,000 years ago. And something was good. I wonder if you understand what I just said. You get what I'm saying? When you read the history books, and I'm going to stick on the same subject of Egypt, ancient Egypt or Kemet. And for example, you speak about the unification of the land. There was a king by the name of Menes or Nama, 3200 BC, who has been credited with uniting Upper and Lower Egypt. All right, now you see that? That's two places united there, Upper and Lower Kemet. All right, fair enough. You read about the Pyramid Age. You read about great kings like Pepi II. You read about Tutankhamun. You read about Akhenaten. You read about Seti I. You read about Hatshepsut. You read about Ramesses II. All the way up to Ramesses IX. You read these things in history and you, wow, these people of that time were so great. Do you know that Ramesses IX was just as far away from Nama, Menes of the first dynasty as you are away from the same Ramesses? Just meditate. So in other words, when you're reading a history that is saying 1000 years BC or 700 years BC, that is just the same distance as you from that and that from 3000 years BC. You understand? So I'm just showing you all of this, so that when we read history, we can comprehend, read with understanding, as they say, understanding. That's why you get the phrase, knowledge is good, but understanding is better. Because a lot of people know things, but they do not understand or understand or comprehend what they know or what they have knowledge of. Because no is a negative word. No, like no, yes, no. Yeah, careful with them words, right, left. Yes and no is just as bad as right and left. Oh, I know, you know, okay. But I don't want to go there right now. That's etymology. That's an etymological conversation for the moment. But I'm just trying to bring you to grips, even in studying. And in studying, you got to check etymology. So you read about the ancient kingdom, you read about a country that may still have a name today. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the same borders. But you must understand that the Nile Valley civilization was one. This is my point. Africa was one too. We've proven that, eh? But for now, the Nile Valley civilization was one. So this is why you would see a lot of the different customs being shared between the North and the South. So even the language that they say they cannot decipher yet, the Meroitic language, yet still that language has a lot of symbols that we are accustomed to. So in ancient Napata, in ancient Meroe, in ancient Tarseti, these are all Kushite kingdoms, by the way. They would have used the same script that you see being used in ancient Kemet. So obviously there's a oneness. We have reliefs and glyphs and papyri of kings and queens going southward to Sudan to pay homage to the royalty in the south. One of the more famous glyph of that is Hatshepsut going to the south, to Sudan, to Nubia, with gifts of gold and frankincense and herbs. They go with a lot of herbs and spices, very important. Read your Bible. When the Queen of Sheba went to check Daddy Solomon, it's not, I think she had more spices and herbs than gold, you know. And they said nobody ever brings so much things for Solomon yet. So who is she? Yeah. So what's his name? Harkuf, who's not a king. Harkuf was something like a vizier in the courts of the king of ancient Kemet. Harkuf is seen making a very important tradition and expedition to the place there, to Sudan, to Nubia, to pay homage as well at the same time, and to assist with whatever problems they may be having with other enemies coming in. And that's another thing, that even when they try to say the 20th dynasty took over and all of that, which is primarily a Sudanese dynastic kings that came up talking about, you know, Tahaka and these one, and Shabaka, and certain ones that came up from the southern region again to assist their brothers, which they are one with. It's just like Africa in general. You know, the Kingdom of Congo was all down in Angola, not Congo, the country, and the Democratic Congo and all of that. The Kingdom of Congo was all over Angola, coming down there into the south. So when you read history, you have to be able to differentiate it from geopolitics and these different things even at this time. So again, even the deity now, the deities, you have the gods, the Heru, the Sets, the Setis. Remember, okay, for example, one of the ancient Kushite kingdom is Ta-Seti. The god they call Set. Of course, when a lot of us take Set and kind of religiousize him, he becomes Satan. Yes, Set may be the symbol of chaos and destruction, but in ancient Africa, we had a totally different outlook of this stuff than in religion. So you gotta be careful. You walk in a kind of thin line when you just try to take that and put it on the other stuff that you've been taught. But yes, of course, Set represents the aggressor, but still you gotta check Set out. I mean, remember in the book of Gates, Set is the individual that's on the boating with the harpoon to kill, what's the name of the snake there again? Honorable, what's the name of the snake again there? Yeah, in when Ra is Apet, when Ra is going through the evening and you have the serpent in the water. Yeah, but whatever the case is, Set is the individual that defends Ra going through the night. So Set is one of the oldest known deities. Heru is considered older than Osiris, even though Osiris is Heru's father. So you see a lot of oneness within these cultures, the Kushite culture, the Kemetic culture, as I showed you, the language, or at least the script, the divine kingship. I showed you that they paid homage basically to each other, and there's more homage given to the southern region too, because those in the north clearly showed you that they came from the south. And as you could see, the south would come and assist the north. So it's obvious that there was a oneness. If in your history that we just got from 3000 BCE come up, if that doesn't show them as fully one, but slightly divided, okay, fair enough. But they're not as divided as they're divided today. You understand? But you clearly see that they had some level of camaraderie amongst themselves against Smaitawi, because it's a oneness. Even down to the Medu Neter, the gods, the Neter themselves, I should say, the gods or the deities, if you want to use that term. Look at Khonsu. Look at Khonsu and look at Ptah and tell me the difference. What's the difference? Khonsu have a moon on his head. That's about it. Just look at it. So they share the oneness. Khonsu is originally from the south too, but they share that oneness. Now, I said all of that just to make a point. Everything I said here is prepping you for what you're going to watch tonight. Because what you're going to watch tonight is not a lecture. It's not no, you're not going to get all what I said. So, but what I said is going to help you to observe what you're going to see. Now, within the oneness there, according to archaeological discoveries, there is a specific deity that is uniquely, exclusively Kushite deity. Meaning that it is not associated, at least up to now, because things are still there to be quote unquote discovered, but at least up to now, this deity has not been seen associated with Kemet. And this is the lion head god, Apedemek. Now, what is so interesting about Apedemek? And I will tell you off the bat, Apedemek is Osiris or Asa lionized. You need to catch that. This can be proven. See, we're going into some deep water here now, because if this is true, and let's just be clear, you didn't hear this nowhere else. If this is true, this is some serious stuff, because Osiris is the prophetic expression of the historical reality of Haile Selassie. There is no challenger for that. Nobody watching, listening, who to come and see it after. You have no challenge whatsoever. I wouldn't even, if I was you, there's nothing no one can say about that. And I'm purposely saying it like that. Don't feel that way. Osiris, Asar of the ancient God philosophy of ancient Kemet. The Osiris mystery, they call it. Eh? The Osiris mystery, that's what it's called. I am saying Osiris is Haile Selassie. So isn't the mystery solved? Yeah, well, I wouldn't go into no details here. In fact, when you watch Apedemek tonight, you will get a little of that. Because what I'm saying now is that we all know who Asa or Osiris is, chief god. And of course, his whole play out is the reality of Emperor Haile Selassie I. That's the master of ceremonies, which I'm sure most, if not everyone listening, would have taken a bit of the master of ceremonies already. So I'm just explaining now that what stands out, number one, is that he's seen with the crown of Asa. Not the only figure that is seen with Asa's crown, you know. But it's still something to look at. But he's the only figure that I know that is seen with Asa's wife. That is something interesting to look at. Not unless you have some other, version of maybe, because that's what scientists do. They sit down and they hypothesize. So, well, maybe Osiris did something, and maybe he died again, and she had to remarry, and all kind of things. That's what the Egyptologists would come up with, some sort of weird stuff like that. Remember, Osiris is not seen as such with an animal figure. But Osiris is the lion. And here you have Apedemek, a lion-headed human being, wearing the crown of Osiris and seen with Osiris's wife. And he is unique to Kush. The crown that he wears is the triple crown. Now, family, the antennas must come up here. Because Haile Selassie, we all know that he was crowned thrice. Even that Lion of Judah title is interesting, That's why we took time to research this properly, being crowned the Lion of Judah, not given the title, you know, but crowned the Lion of Judah is what makes the emperor stand out as well. The triple crown monarchy, don't we say that? Triple crown God. Jaras Tafari is Sila, Selassie, Jah Rastafari. So the triple crown God. Emperor Haile Selassie I. And Apedemek again, the lion head, exclusive to where? Kush. Osiris in lion form, okay, wears the triple crown. Sometimes he's seen with 3 heads, which you read the Kebra Nagas. It speaks about God coming with that 3 seals. Said so, Kebra Nagas, God shall come with 3 seals. Speak of the ark putting on flesh, and Enoch and Elijah rising with the ark. We all know Christ on the Mount of Transfiguration, and Moses and Elijah appeared. And the disciples said, let us build 3 tabernacles, one for you and one for Moses and one for Elijah. Haile Selassie means the power and might of the Holy Trinity. So at times, Apedemek is seen with 3 heads. The triple crown. He's Osiris lionized, exclusive to Kush. What is outstanding about Apedemek is that he is seen as not only the lion-headed God, but the God that goes on the front line of the battle. So it is said, you know, in ancient Kush, when the Kushites go to war, they literally call for the spirit of Apedemek to go and lead them in battle against the enemy. Now, what time we have here? Oh, it's time for me to go. It's time for me to go. Family inside of the, I ain't going yet. I have more to say. Still have a little time. But inside of the description below this video, you have the link to the upcoming documentary that will be aired in about 15 to 17 minutes. I also put the link in the chat. So those of you on the YouTube and you see the link in the chat under my name, you just press it and it will take you straight to the presentation this evening. Very good. So yes, so Apedemek, you know, when they go into battle, when the Kushites had to go to war, they would summon Apedemek. I don't think he would have come down out of the sky. Not because he has wings sometime. I don't think no lion run up on the field in no human form with no bow and arrow to help them fight. But they call him for the spirit of Apedemek. Apedemek is the god of war. Apedemek goes on the front line and defend the whole army and the whole nation. Ain't got nobody like Apedemek, the triple crown lion head god, exclusive to where? Kush. He's Osiris. Which Osiris? The same Osiris that had 72 nations come and bow down at his coronation. The same Osiris cut into 16 pieces, Article 16. The same Osiris that went into the underworld for exactly 5 years, from the 5th of May to the 5th of May, 36 to 51. The same Osiris that gave the United Nations the Apedemek before he became the Orion constellation. And somebody say, what? We say that? Read the book, man. The heavens declare the glory. This is why we do all these things, so we don't have to come back and be trying to explain it again. The heavens declare the glory. You can go to the website and order that book. The heavens declare the glory. Rastafari and the cosmos. And I know somebody is saying, no, Osiris was cut into 14 pieces, not 16. Again, read the book again. The heavens declare the glory, Rastafari and the cosmos. I'm not denying what you said about 14, but there's a reality to the 16. Again, no offense to no one. That's why we need to study and research. Don't just jump because you heard Dr. this said this and Professor this said that. Dr. this and Professor this took a lot of time before they came up with what they had to say, and did a lot of research and spend their money and fly all over the world. So don't just, and yes, it's to give you so you can, nourish yourself, but at least have respect to what they say by doing your diligent search properly before you even try to challenge those who have taken their time to look into it. Remember, again, it has to do with the flooding of the Nile, 16 and 14. So anyway, keep it on track. The same Osiris, 16 pieces, the same Osiris that brought Article 16, that is, right? The same Osiris that brought the Apedemek to the UN before he became the Orion constellation. That same Osiris is the same Apedemek in an animal form as a lion. And when it's wartime, he don't sit back and say, hey, lionesses, you go and catch the buffalo. No. This lion goes on the front line first, in front, test all the military weapons and use them to. That's what Apedemek is about. So this is not a religious discussion. In fact, when you watch the documentary tonight, you will notice that in all, reality, it's a bit unlike, the Honorable Priest Isaac's documentaries. So there's not a whole heap of mystics crammed into a few minutes that leave you like your head spinning around. Yeah, that's reality. Come on, check 7. When last you watched the documentary 7, and the 7 is 2+ hours of just pure linking the heavens and the earth. Just linking, just making all sorts of links, undeniable links. But Apedemek has been designed to make a clear historical statement. And yes, linking it with the Kushite concept of Apedemek. The link is very simple. In fact, I just made the link for you. So again, it's not something that is supposed to surprise you when you watch the documentary. In fact, I'm telling you all of this so you can get this part out of the way. You may even watch it now with more understanding, even if it's the first time you're looking at it. The scramble for Africa is an extremely important component in this documentary. So as you watch it tonight, keep that in mind, the scramble for Africa. This is why Menelik II is highlighted so, as he, more than anyone else, warded off that primary scramble for Ethiopia and cleared the way and gave time for Haile Selassie to sit on the throne. Because when Mussolini came in, this was a totally different affair than other one. And as I always say, it took more than just bronze to defend Ethiopia. It took brains. It took the wise mind of the wisest. And I will say, family, that the importance of Ethiopia's victory at Adwa, which is very important, but the importance of Ethiopia's victory over Mussolini's Italy, I don't think it can be compared to anything else. You know why? Because all of the wars that we would have succumbed to in Africa, remember, we win plenty battles, you know. Don't make them think that make you think that Europeans just coming at us and just push us down, you know. We fight, we fight, we fight. The Ashantis, the Zulus, we all of us, we fight, and we win many battles, and we kill enough of them too. Many times they have to go home and come back, eh? So don't make them think they just run in and run out. They had to go home and come back several times too. Because they're like rats and cockroaches. They mean they're not giving up. Yeah. So I am saying that at the time when Mussolini came in, it was a different war. It was a different war. That move that the emperor made to go into quote-unquote exile and go before the League of Nations. Nobody else. No one else. Nobody else. Call all 224 emperors that sat on the throne before, with all respect to all of them. No one else. That moment in time was reserved for Haile Selassie and Rasta. Because time and space has to be fulfilled, and what happened had to happen. And I cannot see another man sitting in that seat with the shrewd, wise mind of Haile Selassie and bringing the result that we got. And remember what that result did, you know? That safeguarded Africa from becoming totally colonialized, and then for sure brought Africa into a new day of independence. So I honestly believe, you know, when the Zulus go to war, they have a war dance and they call their war god. When the Ashanti go to war, they have a war dance and they call their war god. And the Yoruba people and the Fanti people and whoever, and they call their war god. And ones may say, well, their war god didn't come because look, all of them kingdoms lose their sovereignty to Britain and France and Spain. Okay. To some degree, that might be so. But just before, because we as Africans, we are one. So we didn't lose the war. No, we didn't lose the war because the war wasn't finished until they get every country. So they had one more country to get. It's not Liberia. Who could invade Liberia? Liberia belonged to America. Let's get trying. It wasn't Liberia, it was Ethiopia. When you get Ethiopia, then the war won. You may say the war was won with the Zulu and the Shanti and this because you have us divided. That was not what the OAU was about. It was unity. So it was one last stand. That's what it is. And the war god that the Zulus were calling upon came. The war god that the Ashantis were calling upon, he came. And the Fanti and the Yoruba and whoever else that they were calling upon with their war dance, he came. He was born the 23rd of July, 1892, the war god. He came to go on the front of the war at the last battle so he could preserve African independence. His name is Apedemek, the lion-headed god that goes to the front line of the war with the triple crown. Family, the link is in the description below. The link is in the chat. Just time to go and pack a fresh new chalice and observe Apedemek. Now, let me just say, family, Remember, you could order your copy of Apedemek. What better? You're going to watch it first. And let me say, with all understanding, remember this is YouTube. And as I said before, we were not promising that we would be keeping it up afterwards. But even I want you to understand, this is very important because you would not be seeing the full complete documentary. Let me just tell you now. Plus, there are some public announcements that we actually make in the between the documentary in writing, and you will see it with your eyes. So I'm putting you on alert. You have to remember, those of you who have a YouTube site, when you put something on YouTube, YouTube takes control of that. Just keep that in mind. So sometimes when you see YouTube banning you and striking you for copyrights and so, it's not you they're defending, they're defending themselves. So whether I put a video up and take it down right away, even if you never see it, YouTube have that. I want you to understand, and I want you to at least respect your brother here. Myself and my family, my son, my daughter, and Empress, we work very, very hard on this documentary here. I tell you, the little king, all 11 years old, the mighty videographer, when you watch Apedemek tonight, just know you're watching the vast majority of the action that you're seeing, sound effect, everything, my young prince, the Honorable Prince Almase. So I'm just saying, we are not in the mood to give YouTube our documentary. I wonder if you're getting me. So what you'll be seeing, you're going to see the documentary, but you're not going to see the genuine in its full completion. And you will see a public announcement in front of your eyes. That's about 4 or 5 times, just for a few seconds. And you can read the public announcement and it will tell you what you have to do. You understand? All of that is a part of being strategic in war. Apedemek teaches these things here. So what you need to do now, family, after you view it, I think you know the next step is to just contact us and get a copy of the original documentary for yourselves. I mean, obviously, at the end of it, you will see that, yeah, this is something that is to be valued, Apedemek, the land, the conquered land, hath prevailed. Yes, family, you have 3 more minutes, Just get yourself together. Holy Manuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Just press the link in the description below. Give thanks for